cost analysis, some credits are free, some credits are low-hanging fruits, but some credits, they need to spend certain amount of money. It is important to convene your client about the future risks if they don't do this. Other than losing the point and getting a low score rating, if they don't do certain, if they don't follow certain credits, there are risks involved. And normally when you're not using certification systems, the client wouldn't even think about it. I think that is one of the pluses of these certification systems. For example, with this credit, it's 1 credit if you use water meter, specs of a water meter on the main supply to each building, pulse output to enable monitoring, separate units, which means individual meters are required. How great, everyone knows what they're using. Like you said, even when you're buying a cornflakes, you know what is in it. And we all have to know what we are using, both electricity and water. And no water supply means assess based on nearest building with water supply used by occupants. In Europe, there's an exemplary credit, which you can get a 2nd credit, where sub-meters are fitted to allow the metering of individual water-consuming plant or building areas where demand is such areas will be equal to or greater than 10% of the total water demand of the building. I won't get into other credits because we don't have a lot of time, but each credit is explained in detail in the manual. We translated this manual in Turkish Green Building Council Certification Committee to Turkish. We had the BREEAM commercial. We brought together all the assessors in Turkey. Everyone got 1 credit, and we translated the whole book into Turkish. Believe me, it's very useful. The contractor world didn't know English, most of the people, and now in the field, we simply distribute this Turkish manual. Big issue, materials. Again, I analyzed 10 to 15 BREEAM assessed projects in Turkey. The lowest credits are from material section. Water, energy, indoor air quality, you get all the credits, but when it comes to material, it's about 3% or 5%. The reason is, both LEED and BREEAM, all these systems have requirements for international certification systems like FSC, Forest Stewardship Council, certified wood. Green Label Plus carpet, for example, which don't exist in Turkey. We have cradle-to-cradle patented carpet, which gets innovation credit. But there are certain materials that are very specific to where these certification systems originated from, like UK and US. That's why adaptation and localization of these systems are important if we want to promote the local manufacturers. Of course, this gives a lot of incentives to local manufacturers to be green, which is great. Material specification, reuse of building facade, reuse of building structure, these are credits that no one gets, almost. There's a rumor in Turkey, BREEAM doesn't want to give outstanding, that's why they have these credits that no one gets. But if you're building a new office building, it's hardly that you want to reuse your building structure or building facade. Only very special projects like retrofitting or building in the old part of town that you want your building to look like other old buildings, you use your old buildings materials. But LEED and BREEAM promotes that. For example, we applied to get a LEED certification for a KFC restaurant in Turkey, and if you bring old furniture, you get 1 credit. So, the owner is looking for old furniture from other restaurants. I think which is great. That tells you don't throw anything. There's a LEED credit waiting for that. So designing for robustness is also very important. For example, normally when we want to buy a shade for our building, $3 per meter square, $20 per meter square. everyone, there's always some value engineering going on, and everyone goes to $3 per meter square. But you have to start thinking about life cycle. In 5 years, if you're going to throw that $3 per meter square shade, and if you're going to buy again, in 20 years, maybe you'll buy 4 times. If you select to buy that expensive one, which will be probably more durable, that's why it's expensive, it'll go for 20, 25 years. Then you think about the waste you're going to create by changing this shade every 3, 4 years. Probably you should start thinking differently when you're buying materials. So, BREEAM wants you to look at material specification and check out the whole life impact, as I gave an example for the shade. They have Green Guide to Spec. If you have time, please get into their website. This is their material database for green. It is specifically for UK, but as we assessors do analysis in our countries, they update it. So if you find a green material in your country, you can tell BREEAM, you can fill some forms, and they can put your material to that list. So it's great. They use everyone to update their list. They have something called Green Guide rating, here to the left. A+ is 3 credits, A is 2, B is 1. They call this Eco credit. There's a calculator. You insert different levels of your material to this table. There's an Excel sheet. So, for example, if you have 4 layers of isolation materials, for each one of them, you have a spec, different spec. So, for example, your first layer is B, your second layer is A, your third layer is D. It calculates an average and gives you the rating for your material. So it's not so simple. You know, this material has different layers, different materials, so you calculate separately. Again, greenguide.org is a great source if you want to learn about green materials. For different building types, for different building elements, it gives you different ratings. And for exemplary level requirements, again, there are a lot of assessment tools that you can use. Again, when you get into the Green Guide to Spec, you just say aircrete blockwork with cement, lime, mortar, plaster, paint, you click on it, and there's a summary rating for it. If your material is not one of these, as I told you before, you put your separate ratings and you calculate the average, or you send it to BREEAM, they calculate your green rating, and you use it in your assessment. So, again, waste is a big issue. Recycled aggregates, something that is not done well in our countries again, that promotes recycling everything. The best example I saw on recycling aggregates was in Singapore. They are recycling all the construction aggregates, and they built roads, which they call green roads, because it's from recycled material. You can check their website again. They have an academy, BCA Academy, which talks about all these green construction materials. Singaporean Green Building Council there did a great job. Land use and ecology is, for BREEAM, an extremely important credit. As much as I know, DGNB doesn't give credits for sustainable sites, right? This is the difference between LEED, BREEAM, and DGNB. With LEED, there are prerequisites. If you didn't prepare an erosion and sedimentation control plan, you cannot even apply for certification. Even if you have platinum credits, your site preparation is very important. You're not going to let erosion happening, or you're not going to let sedimentation. With BREEAM, ecology is very important. Reuse of land, contaminated, if it's contaminated, if you're cleaning it, you get credits. And the ecological value of land is very important. You need to really avoid the forests and areas where endangered species live. You have to be careful selecting your site, which is very valuable, I think, especially in our countries. because even children parks are sometimes being built, you know, within the city because there's no spot. And what's happening is cities are running out of green space. So contaminated land, if you use a land that was dirty before and if you clean it, for LEED and BREEAM, these are extra credits. Not extra, these are credits. Pollution, again, is a big issue because, again, in developing countries especially, there's a lot of sea pollution, light pollution, and flood risk. For example, last year in Turkey we had a serious flood problem. Several people died and many buildings went into a disaster. So we are thinking when we create our own system, flood risk should be a prerequisite again. Noise attenuation. In big cities, noise is a big problem. So BREEAM has serious acoustic and noise credits for that. What happens is, we assessors finish the work and we send to BREEAM and they do a quality check, quality assurance. They want to make sure that the assessor analyzed everything properly, and then finally they assign a certification. We received our 8th certification this week as a company, so we're very happy about this, that it's really happening. BREEAM assessment is working in Turkey, and we are progressing in that area too. What is appealing is all these different systems in one country gives us a lot of know-how to create our own system. I think for every country it's becoming a must, considering all these geographical, cultural, political differences. We need to come with our own systems, it seems like. Of course, use the other systems along with, because these are all benchmarks, creating benchmarks for us. Thank you.